happens if you are having a water birth and hot chocolate squirts out rather than a chocolate celebration this Christmas? So whilst 1 in 2 women and people during childbirth will poo at some point, the vast majority are solid and they are easily sieved out of a water birth and disposed of. And the reason it happens during pushing is because as that baby's head comes down, anything that's solid within that bowel will be pushed out at the time of birth and it will just plop into the water or into dry land. It's incredibly normal, absolutely nothing to be ashamed of. And scooping it out and disposing of that poo really discreetly as midwives helps to keep that pool nice and clean for when your baby is born. And the majority does happen in that pushing stage. There is another stage of labour, however, where loose, watery, diarrhea type stools or hot chocolate this Christmas might come out, and that's usually at the start of labour. That is your body emptying out before you go into labour. Lots of women and people actually have a clear out before they're about to start labour and birth. Loose watery stools can be one of the very first signs of going into labour, either before you have the very first contractions, before your waters break, or at some point in all of that early labour stage. And usually it happens before your baby's head starts coming through the pelvis. So if you've got loose watery stools, the chances are it's going to happen before your baby starts descending and starts pushing and pressing on that rectum. So the chances of pooing hot chocolate during birth, either on land or in the water, are incredibly slim. And so if it happens on land, we will clear it up very quickly and dispose of it. If you are in the water, however, we will usually ask you to get out of the pool, step out, we will clean it, we will get rid of all that water, and then we will refill it with some nice, clean, fresh water. And in my 16 years of midwifery experience, 13 years qualified, 3 years of training, supporting lots of different births, I've advised one woman to get out of the pool when it came out more like whole grain mustard seed, not scoopable type consistency. And that was just to keep it nice and clean for her and her baby at birth. And there's one other exception where diarrhea or loose stools sometimes happens later on in that labour, and that can be a sign of sepsis or infection, but usually it's accompanied by feeling really unwell, feeling not right, high temperature, high heart rate, high breathing rate, and sometimes baby's heart rate going up in labour too. Sometimes also smelly, offensive liquor. And these are the women or people who'd be on dry land, usually in a labour ward environment and not in a birthing pool. So whilst pooing is incredibly common, nothing to be ashamed about, very normal and a very good sign of progress happening in labour and birth, the chances of it coming out like hot chocolate are slim to none. But if it happens, you will usually be advised to get out the pool, we'll clean it and we'll make sure that it's nice and fresh for you to get back in. Good hot chocolate.